obviously, I didn't want this live stream to be like this, but obviously to make up for last week where I didn't do a live stream, I figured this was more appropriate to do. But obviously, as you can see by the title, this live stream is paying tribute to, as we just got Xavier just joined.
Hello, guys.
All right, hello. Just started.
Yeah.
Yes, but obviously, we're doing a live stream to pay tribute to arguably one of the most, as Xavier is holding up, Left-Hand Path, obviously. We're doing a live stream to pay tribute to one of the most influential vocalists in death metal history, L.G. Petrov from Entombed and Entombed A.D.
If you guys don't know this fucking photo and you're a death metal fan, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Obviously, he passed away this past weekend. Do we know what the cause of death is?
I know it was cancer because I actually went on his GoFundMe last year when he had it up, and he I probably gave a good majority of my check to that.
Yeah, obviously.
Which was a lot of money.
Yeah. Obviously, he was basically the band's first vocalist. Obviously, Xavier just showed he was the vocalist on Left-Hand Path, one of the greatest death metal albums of all time.
It is. It started. It definitely. Even though Left-Hand Path wasn't the first European death metal record, which there was stuff before that, but it definitely carved a new way for Norway, Sweden, Finland. It definitely had a hand in that in a huge sense.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can tell, obviously, I am joined by Metal Ben and Xavier here, who happen to be a part of the channel. We'll be having others joining whenever they can. Obviously, we are planning to have this be hopefully maybe 2 hours or so. Hopefully, but obviously, so tell them all, because I'm not too big on this band, but I figured this was a fitting way to do it. So, what are y'all's memories of obviously Entombed and LG?
Well, I first heard Entombed way back in the early 90s. Way back around 92, I believe. I first saw him on Headbang Brick Ball, and I just thought it sounded really brutal at the time. And it's one of the earliest death metal bands I ever heard.
Yeah. Xavier?
My experience was different. I was coming home from school. I had to take a train home, and I used to go to this CD store all the time, and I would pick up like CDs such as like Altars of Madness, Consuming Impulse, Pleasure to Kill, tons of those classic records. Tons of classic records. I used to go there and just like go to their CD collection and just ransack the shit out of it. And one day I was going through there and I found this. Now I had heard of Left-Hand Path, never listened to it, but once I heard the beginning of the title track, I was instantly hooked. Like, I remember it was 1 degrees. It was the middle of February, and I walked back home from school listening to this in a Discman, and that was like literally the most haunting feeling of listening to a record. That was my experience of listening to Entombed.
All right. Have y'all ever had experiences with LG in person, or maybe in live concerts or something like that?
I never have.
I actually was close to doing that. Actually,
Explain.
So before COVID started, there's a venue that I would always go to called Dingbats. Dingbats would like host bands such as Immolation, Suffocation, Entombed, Amorphous, Entombed AD, on and so forth. And so they had one bill which was supposed to be Amorphous, Entombed AD, and I believe Necrot. And that was supposed to be a bill they were supposed to be playing. And a few weeks after I announced the bill, COVID hit.
Damn, yeah. That's
Yeah.
that must have felt that must have felt like, damn it, like that was like a damn it moment, like you were that
Yeah.
close to seeing
Yeah,
them live.
Yeah, exactly. Because we've not really like. Here's the thing: when it comes to death metal, that was like European bands coming to the East Coast. We really had it rare. It wasn't that often. Like we had Convulse come like a few years ago. Vader came a few times, and that was it. Not that many times we had like European death metal come over.
Yeah.
That's true. Sure.
Yeah.
Especially here in Pennsylvania, man, we barely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I never really, if I were to say, I've never really had much experience with this band. I've only probably just listened to a little bit of the title track from Left Hand Path. From what I've heard, chaotic as hell. Like it does for that obviously fits of the time of, when did they come out? 91?
90, 89.
It was around that time that death metal was starting to get that huge, getting bigger and stuff. You know, you get the Cannibal Corpse, Death was still around. You know, Obituary. You get all those bands. Entombed fit right in with them.
I think well, the thing is when it started to get popularity was like around 91. 90, it was like, okay, after Cause of Death came out, then everything started happening.
Yeah.
Around the time when Cause of Death came out, then it started getting more popularity. Then bands were starting to sign to more major labels. Around the Morbid Angel, who else was going there at that point? Sepultura around that time was too. Rise was getting like almost on the billboards at one point.
Very true.
Napalm Death. A lot of those bands were starting to get around the same thing. And what was interesting about Entombed, and I think just a whole Swedish scene in general, was it had that grindcore kind of feel to it. Before they were Entombed, when they were called Nihilist, they used to cover a lot of Repulsion, a lot of Napalm Death, a lot of Creator too. They were really influenced by that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those are easily some of the biggest thrash and death metal bands outside of, say, well, in US and in Europe, obviously, especially Creator, one of the biggest German thrash bands, easily.
Yeah, they were covering that a lot. Entombed was one of those things where when it was still Nihilist, it was kind of a different band, and then when it switched to Entombed, it became a whole different project, I think. Nihilist to me fits more in the category of like Repulsion, Terrorizer, and Carcass.
Yeah, definitely.
That's true.
Yeah, obviously, Ben. When did you obviously Xavier said he first got into Entombed via Record Store. When did you get into listening to Entombed?
Around 92, 93. Very, very long time ago. I didn't remain consistent to the band. You know, like I know their first 3 albums. Obviously, everything after that I'm not overly familiar with.
Same here. It's kind of weird when, yeah. Go ahead.
Because on Wolverine Blues, they took a whole different musical approach. Then more
Actually,
what will become definitely.
Yeah.
here's the thing with me. It's kind of funny that you mentioned Wolverine Blues, because I remember actually I didn't even listen to Wolverine Blues at first. I actually, one of my friends like gave me like a good amount of CDs of death metal that I should listen to, and they gave me Wolverine, like the single from that Wolfman, I think it was, that single from that record. I didn't listen to it at all until I stumbled upon Left Hand Path. Then I started listening to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I just bought this one today, Burno.
Yeah. That's probably after the first 3 albums.
This came
Pretty
out in
much.
2003.
That's way later.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, it's nothing like Left Hand Path, obviously. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
And where I got this from was still from the record store. This was original from '90.
Oh, nice.
This is when Eric was partnering up with Combat at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of them.
Yeah, I definitely at some point I would definitely would be in this conversation and listening to some of those first 3 albums and maybe even later. But like I said, you know, Left Hand Path was the only and of its time, you know, when I was listening to the title track. Whew.
He was in another band after Entombed. I forgot what it was called, but I think it was like a Netherlands band. Martin Van Buren sang for them at one point.
Mm.
What was it called? I forgot what it was called, but it was like look it up actually.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it was a really good album. It was.
Well, since I'm not one familiar with the discography, obviously to both of you, which ones would be obviously aside from the first 3 albums, which ones would be the go-to when it comes to Entombed, and especially in Entombed AD?
It's weird for me because I've listened to okay, granted, I wasn't too crazy about Wolverine Blues when I first heard it, but when I heard like Cladleston, I was more a fan. Then I started listening to Left Hand Path a little bit more.
Yeah, obviously, pretty much everybody. It's hard to even think of if there were even if we were to include those. Would there be 2 other albums that you would say for both of you would include among those 3 that aren't like, say, you know, polar opposites or something, but are still pretty enjoyable to listen to?
Maybe Morning Star. That one's not too bad.
The one after Wolverine Blues was okay. It obviously wasn't. It was weird because it really wasn't that album. Like, it's the farthest thing from death metal, in my opinion.
Pretty much.
That 4th album is like, I don't even think it has any death and roll or any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, some bands, obviously, like Nick and I were mentioning before we went live, Darkroom, they changed their style up like it's going out of style. You know, they've been crust punk, they've been black metal, they've had doom metal, traditional heavy metal. hell, even death metal at one point. And Entombed is probably in that same category where they don't give a. They do whatever the hell they want. Practically.
You bring up Entombed, and you bring up Darkthrone, and here's a funny thing. Darkthrone, when they were recording Soulside Journey, they Nihilist / Entombed, I think it was Nikkei, asked him to give him advice to go to Sunlight, which was obviously the same recording studio as Left Hand Path, Dismember, Grave, and I think maybe Therion maybe have recorded there at one point. They were one of the Darkthrone basically recorded there, and they used actually I think Fenriz used Nikkei's drum set from Left Hand Path.
Interesting. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, if you listen to the snare, if you listen to the snare sound on Left Hand Path and then listen to the one on Soulside Journey, it has that same type of sound.
It does, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds very similar. Even musically, it sounds pretty similar. Left Hand Path and Soulside Journey.
Yeah, those albums I could say that they're very similar.
Yeah, definitely. You can almost probably say they're probably the same album.
Yeah, it's almost the same album. And I would definitely suggest another band after LJ Petrov. Well, he actually got kicked out of Entombed, I think, for some weird reason after Left Hand Path. And then he went on this other band called Cumcon.
Yeah, but that can explain why he wasn't on Clandestine.
No, Nikkei did the vocals on that, and then they had
then Petrov came back on Wolverine Blues.
Yeah, he did. He there was something about that. I don't know why, but obviously, I think the one thing that Entombed has probably the biggest it's here's the thing, and I don't mean this in a negative sense, but Entombed is the Dave Mustaine of Swedish death metal. They had a huge part in it because the drummer from Entombed did the Dismember logo. One of the members from Unleashed were from Nihilist, which is pre-Entombed, and then Grave had a huge portion of it because the logo was done by him too.
That's interesting.
So almost 3 of those bands had something to do with Entombed.
Yeah, that's really interesting to say the least. But I obviously when it comes to LG Petrov and those comparing the two, because you said that whole Wolverine Blues and then Left Hand Path are pretty much different. How was his vocal style on both? Obviously, we know what he was doing on Left Hand Path, but what was the difference between his vocals on Left Hand Path and Wolverine Blues?
Okay, Left Hand Path, in a sense, it kind of falls in with the time of death metal at the point because I feel like it was a mixture of John Tardy, fucking some hardcore stuff, because I definitely could hear a lot of hardcore element in Entombed in a huge way. I hear especially, and this is one thing that Swedish death metal is known for, having a humongous autopsy influence. It reeks of that.
Yeah.
Much both of your guitars too.
Yeah, the guitars I would say really is influenced by that Spetrato Slaughter album, because even though, and here's one funny thing, Hell's Headbangers, when they had a podcast and they bring what's his name, Fred Espy from Dismember, they were talking about that guitar sound. They're talking about it, and they said that pre 1990 there was Slaughtered Strapato having that same type of guitar sound, and then they go sticked around on the fucking heavy metal pedal, the one that's known for Left Hand Path, Cradleston, all those Swedish classics was from that pedal that had that same guitar tone. And it's one thing about it is that I think, wait a minute, I think that I think it really plays a huge part in it, because once they used that guitar pedal, it was like known. Even Finland at one point used it. Almost everybody had that same pedal.
Yeah.
I think Swedish death metal sounds darker too than American death metal. I mean,
Oh yeah, but I was even listening to that, just hearing from Left Hand Path, and you said it having a darker tone. Yeah, I can definitely comparing it to say other albums even after it. Tomb of the Mutilated, Butchered at Birth. Even I would say Leprosy. It is darker than those three albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that Swedish metal doesn't compare to it's compared to fucking to Florida death metal, because I feel like New York death metal goes hand in hand with Swedish and Finnish.
That's true. Yeah.
In a lot of ways it does. And if you compare Leprosy to Left Hand Path or an Ever Flowing Stream.
Yeah, the difference is night and day with those two.
It's night and day, because one, it's Florida's a little bit more polished, while on the other hand, Sweden and Finland and Norway were the total opposites.
Exactly. Considering with Norway, that would end up being the scene of the Norwegian black metal movement and stuff. That was, even them, especially, even if I hate some of that style of bands like Mayhem at the time, Dark Throne at the time, still have a darker tone than, say, some of the Florida death metal of the time, like Cannibal Corpse and Death and all that stuff. Way more darker. Partly due to maybe how the sound is and the lyrics too, pretty much.
I think the lyrics to a lot of Swedish death metal just deal with real life stuff. It's in the same vein as punk in a sense, where it has I think a lot of the lyrics that are in Left Hand Path are not your everyday Morbid Angel, deicide, suffocation type of shit.
That's very true.
It's not that at all.
But yeah, let's try to say what else is there we could talk about when it comes to Entombed, and if any other bands that LG has been in.
I know he did work for let me actually see. Left Hand Path. Let me actually go on Metal Archives.
Yeah.
He was in a Morbid at one point, actually. He did work with Morbid.
Ooh. Morbid Angel?
No, Morbid, Dead Morbid, from Sweden.
Oh, cool.
He did drums on the first demo, and then he did a few stuff on the rehearsal stuff. He was only in Morbid for 87 to 88. And then Nihilist was started.
Yeah, which would in turn turn into Entombed.
Which would turn into Entombed. Yeah, he did vocals on obviously all the Nihilist demos.
Okay, Nihilist. I'm pretty sure I'm not aware of who they are, so I'm sure y'all.
Okay, Nihilist is basically Entombed. It's almost all the songs on Left Hand Path were recorded as Nihilist, and they broke up in '89 and then became Entombed. They basically split off into different camps. One went to Unleashed, another one went to Entombed, and then Nihilist was no more, pretty much.
Well, was obviously, so he's known in those other bands. Was there any after, say,
Entombed?
or during? or say after or during Entombed he was in?
He did. I think he did a few things for. I think he did a few things for Punch and Stench. He did backing vocals on Then Caught Buttering, and during the time he did a few other things. Let's see. That was like mostly what he was doing during Entombed.
Yeah, during Entombed, and then
Then after that, he I think he either left the band to start Entombed AD, or during that same time.
yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Entombed AD is just Entombed, just with a different name, basically.
Well, yeah, because I think what's weird about Entombed in a sense, and I honestly think this is the oddest part, that it's like, it's like Venom and Venom Inc.
They're both the same band.
They're both the same band, but they go off to do different stuff. It's like here's the thing with Entombed. They don't really tour the US. They do a few splits here and there. Entombed AD does more touring, and I think Entombed AD would be going into the same kind of death and roll category as Wolverine Blues.
Pretty much. I mean, it doesn't sound much different.
Yeah, that's the one thing that they would go on to do.
Yeah. But let's see. We got at least we got one viewer in here. If you are to the one viewer who is watching, if you are a fan of what LG has done, if you wanna, there's the comments below. If you want to say something about LG, or even Entombed or Entombed AD, let us know. Or anybody else who's watching this as a video, comment below. Obviously. So how about y'all can talk about, if you all want to, I can allow y'all to talk about Left Hand Path. Obviously it's one of the biggest death metal bands. So if you want to review it right here, in honor of LG,
of course,
talk about it.
Definitely. We'll just do it. Should we do it like we should just do it track to track?
Go for it.
Okay. So the first track, Left Hand Path, flawless beginning to end. It's a great way to open up the song with a solo, and I would say it's very, very Slayer-esque, and
yeah,
it's very influenced by that, and the vocals want to kick in, and it's pretty much like, I would say that's like one of the points that's like, okay, this is like gonna be a fucking gnarly album beginning to end. Once you hear the fucking solo in the beginning, it's like it's gonna be good.
Exactly. I can agree that yes, there is kind of that Slayer element to it, because it being the only song I've listened to from that, I can definitely hear some Slayer on that song. Continue.
Okay. I don't know. I want to ask what Ben's thoughts on that song is.
Yeah, Ben, what do you think of the title track, Left Hand Path?
I think it's epic. Now, I can definitely hear Hell Awaits era Slayer in the in the track. I can also hear some Autopsy and Scream Bloody Gore, and
yeah,
it's a really cool track because I really like part 2 where it slows down and gets really dark and gothic sounding.
Yeah.
It just has a really dark and cool atmosphere to it. It's definitely a legendary opener to a death metal album. It's just a phenomenal track.
For sure.
Yes. Second track.
Drowned. That riff, that fucking riff, when it kicks in, it's fucking great. That's like definitely another, like, I would say, like, hardcore influence track. I could hear a lot of that in it. And same again with like the lyrics. It doesn't go with the typical death metal, like, anti-Christian stuff. It does, but it's not as like pushy about it.
Yeah. Ben?
I agree. To me, it has more of a hardcore vibe to it. But it sounds great. It's like you take the hardcore influence and you add in them bucks and guitars, and it just makes it sound unique and brutal. You know? Again, another excellent track. And it's definitely a catchy riff with that dance, you know, very catchy, very good.
Yeah, that's a great track. Beginning to end, it's fucking really good.
Yep.
Yeah. Then what comes after that track?
Reveal in Flesh. No, Revel in Flesh. My bad.
Ah.
Another great track, beginning to end. I always like the doomy parts in this song because it's definitely haunting as fuck. Like, every time I listen to this album, I find something new every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much why I like to got a very high skill, you know.
Yeah.
All the track, you know.
I think that's the same track that has the clean vocals on it. I think it's the same track because I remember listening to it and they had one part of the song that had like clean vocals, and I was kind of confused because I've heard clean vocals in death metal before, but like that was like a little bit of it was like the one thing that was like a little gripe of it that I had.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's the next track.
The next track is when life has cased, I think. Yeah.
My love. That's yeah. Explain about that track. You know, obviously.
That track is fucking awesome, and the drum, the fucking the beginning part of it is great, and then they have one dreamlike atmosphere part where it's like dun, 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 dun. That's like my favorite part where they have a fucking like where when you use harmonizer in death metal, you're supposed to use it in the right way. That one is the best example of it.
Yeah.
I agree. That harmony part, it makes the song. It gives the song such a great dark atmosphere to it. You know, and it kind of gives you that haunting feel when you listen to it, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely haunting. It's like
hypnotizing, you know.
It's always hypnotizing to listen to this. I feel like the one bit like Autopsy and definitely Entombed have that haunting feel when it comes for fucking slow, doomy, dreary parts.
Right.
Yeah.
Track.
It's
a fucking great track.
We got Brandon Welcome in here. RPLG Petrov. Obviously, yeah. Thank you for commenting on that, Brandon. Obviously, while we take a pause on the review, what are your fondest memories of LG, Brandon? If you're still in here, of course. But in the meantime, what's the next track?
Oh, this is the best track off their album, Supposed to Rot.
Explain why it's the best track on this album.
Fucking pounding, brutal as fuck, and it's like okay. You know what I notice about this album a lot? It doesn't rely on blast beats. Like there's certain death metal records that just rely on blast beats the whole entire time. Like it's the bread and butter of death metal. It gets repetitive, and there's certain bands that do it way too much, and they're just known for being blast beat bands.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's
fucking great song beginning to end.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a great track, and like you said, it doesn't. You know.
This album very.
And that's what makes a good death metal album. It's when you add in those so doomy parts. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon said fun. Yeah. Pause on that. Fondest memories of LG. That's a tough one. If you got multiple, say them. We have. Just say what you want. But then we move on to the next song, as I have it on my TV screen. But Life Goes On.
Life Goes On.
Explain that track.
That track is deep to me because it's something that got me through high school in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's kind of the same meaning as I said earlier. The show must go on, but it's a different naming in some cases. Just looking at the name.
Yeah.
They have the fucking chorus of it, Life is Your Worst Enemy.
Yeah. Yeah. But how's the music on it?
The music on it is, like I said before, this album has no weak tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, there were so many bands during 90 and 91 in the underground scene trying to sound like Entombed. And that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why did it go into album for a reason?
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. Ben, what do you think of the song? What do you think of the song "The Life Goes On"?
Again, it's another masterpiece of a track, man. I mean, the masterpiece album. You're just gonna get hit with gem after gem, and it's just another great song. The lyrics are great in the track. You know.
Yeah.
Another track.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then we get on to the track "Better Loss."
Deep fucking track. Deep as fuck track.
Yeah. It's kind of the whole thing with, obviously, I said earlier at the beginning of the stream, with my step grandmother passing away, but it kind of rings, seeing that the title of that is really kind of ringing with how it's going on with how I feel like right now. But what's the music like on it?
Music like, I would say it starts off with a doomy intro, and then it starts going into like a faster part. Definitely another track that I hold highly on Left Hand Path.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Another one of those deep tracks. Excuse me, sir. You know.
Yeah, just seeing, not listening, but just seeing those two songs back to back, it kind of makes me think that these ones feel like they might be sombersome type tracks. Is there any truth to them when looking at these songs just based on the song title?
I mean, I knew it had like some, and this is one thing that, I don't really complain about in death metal, but there's some I feel like there has to be some realism injected into it because I feel like tracks like this definitely stand out.
Oh yeah, definitely. You normally don't see songs like that, especially going back to back on something that's a death metal album. You get songs that feel like they could just be like, if you think about it, maybe some of those just seeing the titles alone, maybe they might be ballady type of tracks or something like that.
Yeah, but they're not that at all.
Yeah, they're not, but you get some realism sometimes in some death metal bands. They do have some realism sometimes, obviously. Moving on, we get the track Morbid Development. We're getting into more titles that are more appropriate for death metal albums.
Morbid Development. Now, the fucking intro to this is catchy as hell. And then it has probably the best fucking scream in the whole entire record. Once you hit that scream, then it's fucking amazing.
That's a wicked scream, man. I agree. Catchy song, yeah. And that scream, it just gives freaking chills down your spine, man.
Exactly. That song is fucking gnarly.
Obviously, when you mentioned the scream, what kind of a scream are we talking about? Obviously, it's going to be like a scream like, yeah. But this is like one of those, I guess the kind of scream I'm thinking of is like the beginning of, that one, I'd say the one, I don't even know if you've heard them, but there was a band called Job for a Cowboy, and they had a song called Entombment of a Machine. They had like more of like a girl-like scream. Is it something like that?
Nothing like that. It's like, imagine someone getting stabbed, and it's like, imagine hearing a snuff film and getting stabbed in the woods. That's the type of scream it sounds like.
Okay, yeah, I've heard screams like that, and I've watched horror movies like that. I'm like, yeah, I know where you're getting at.
Yeah,
very ghostly,
like that's like this. It's like that sounds like the scream of fucking agony, like true fucking agony.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
man. Then we get into the track Abnormally Deceased. Explain what that's about that song.
Abnormally Deceased is kind of like an autopsy worship song in a sense, where we get a little bit more into the gore a little bit. Like they dabble in it a few times, but not that often.
Yeah, this is just saying that makes me think, oh, this is kind of that standard of Cannibal Corpse style, style where you have these absurd songs that are supposed to make you feel sick. Like, let's say, fucked with a knife or something like, whatever. I forgot what.
It's like here's the thing. It's like a mixture of like religious and like gore experience because I've seen that done before in death metal plenty of times.
Deicide might come to mind when I'm thinking that.
I would say more of autopsy type of stuff because I've done that before.
Because I've seen when you mix
like that.
Yeah, when you mix those words, religion and gore, it made me instantly think deicide in some way.
Deicide, in a sense, well, they have gore, but not that often. It's more religious.
Yeah, but you mentioned the word religion, it made me think deicide instantly. But the music, what's the music like for Abnormally Deceased?
It goes in the same pattern again, just more brutal, and there's harmonies in this one that are interesting, and then there's like the most fucking sinister laugh in it ever. They have church. They have church. They have like church bells in this one that were.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Like musically, definitely like autopsy. Yeah. Or scream, bloody gore, death.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're on to what is essentially on here. I'm looking at Spotify. The last 3 tracks. Yes. We got now The Truth Beyond, which is kind of another one of those. Just basing off the title, it's another one of those that's like But Life Goes On and Bitter Loss type of title. It's not like you would see something on a death metal record.
It's okay. This song, in a sense, is more of. It's like we fight for our religion, but we noticed that what were you fighting for? What were you actually fighting for?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those other. It's another deeper meaning type of song, basically, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
What are we actually fighting for? Are we fighting for, religion? Are we fighting for freedom? Are we fighting for money or for this? It's a deeper meaning song.
It's a deeper meaning song, and that's one of the tracks I took deeply when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, musically, it's a very good track. And it's very true. What are we fighting for? What God are we praying to? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
It's just, simple, just stuff like this that costs so much in the world,
Yeah.
But it's a very good track.
Yeah. Yeah. We got the next track on here. Cardinal Leftovers.
This is bit. Yeah, this was another one of the bonus tracks. They did. What's weird is they a few of the tracks like when life is encased, when life has cased and Morbid Development and the one after this, they don't have the lyrics to. For some weird reason, I think either the band or Earache didn't want to put the lyrics in.
But obviously the song, what is it like musically?
It's weird because they started and you notice this with especially albums such as Dismember Like Ever Flowing Stream, Carnage Dark Recollections, and Left Hand Path, is you notice they start using voice effects on the last few tracks.
I've seen bands that I have followed have used voice samples and stuff like that. Rob Zombie comes to mind, even though that's years later. Hell, even at the time, White Zombie were doing it too a little bit.
Not like that, but in a sense where it's they're using a certain because Carcass did this a lot too back then, where they would get a certain machine that used to affect their voice to make it sound lower. So basically, they would kind of cheat and yell into the microphone and makes them sound like their voice is 3 or 4 octaves low.
Right.
Yeah, they would do that, but instead of instead of what Carcass did, they did the total opposite, where they were doing their typical type of vocal style, but not yelling. Because I've known people that do that and they make their vocals sound way lower than they should have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we come to what is essentially the last track, but you're pretty much sure this is I don't know how many they are, but you said this one could be a bonus track as well. It's called.
This was the bonus track.
Okay, but the last track on here, at least on Spotify, Premature Autopsy.
Premature Autopsy. Premature Autopsy is it doesn't show you the lyrics to that one. You have to kind of you have to figure out on your own. I think Digby from Earache said that they didn't post it in the page in the lyric book for some weird reason. I don't remember why. Then they left that on the CD version, I believe the cassette, because in the early days of Earache, around 87 to 87 to 91, they started doing this thing with CDs a lot, where even Morbid Angels, Ultras of Madness, Napalm Death, Harmony Corruption, Left Hand Path, and I want to say even Carnage, they did it, where they would leave bonus tracks on there. They would leave bonus tracks on CDs, and then the vinyls they would just have non-bonus tracks.
I know, that's pretty odd.
They would do that on all their vinyls and CDs. I don't know why, but it was really weird. And then this is like the original pressing of Left Hand Path. They don't imprint the lyrics.
Yeah.
They don't print the lyrics at all, and then you have to like figure out. So because they were really inspired by Obituary, because at the time Obituary like Slowly Rot and Cause of Death, there were no lyrics imprinted. Obviously, Obituary never printed their lyrics on any of their records.
No.
Yeah. I guess it's for those who, if there's people out there who have figured out the lyrics to these last two tracks, then it is, we will easily find it. But obviously, but what's the music? Obviously, what's the music like on Premature Autopsy? Is it pretty much what it is throughout the whole record?
It kind of goes into this punk riff in the beginning, and then it goes straight into a blast beat, and then this song ends out to being the best, like hands down one of the best songs off the record. Like the ending track is like brutal as hell, and like here's the one thing: a lot of people on the East Coast were definitely influenced by Entombed and Autopsy, especially of this album.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the guitar tones back then were very much influenced by that, which pretty much ends up being the last track on the record.
Yeah, but obviously, y'all's overall thoughts and what would you give it a score of? Start with you, Xavier.
In my honesty, I give it a 9. Actually, probably a 10 because I love that record.
Hands down, another the classic. Perfect.
Yeah. Obviously, I would. From what y'all said, I would definitely. Whenever I do listen to it, I probably would have to agree with y'all either in the 9 out of 10, 9 or 10 out of 10 range. Even though it's rare for me to give a death metal album a 10 out of 10 that isn't freaking melodic or progressive death metal. But with it, I would definitely give it. Sometimes I have given albums 10s because they're either actually perfect or they're classics.
Yeah.
So in that case, I would probably, whenever I do, I probably would agree with y'all and have it be, probably a classic 10 out of 10. Not perfect 10 out of 10, because sometimes albums back in these days, it's rare you get albums that are death metal that are perfect. There's going to be flaws, of course, early on, but for what it is a classic death metal album. It would definitely get the classic 10 out of 10 easily if I were to ever listen to it easily.
Oh, Ryan, I have one album that you actually really like. Do you know Sentenced?
Yeah.
No, I have never heard of them.
Listen from North from Here. That's a good melodic death metal record.
I have listened to so much freaking melodic death metal that I can't really tell which style they're trying to do and stuff.
No, but you'll definitely enjoy it. Listen to Sentence North from Here. That's good melodic death metal. I've
even heard Bellacore, Intestine Baalism, that a Japanese melodic death metal. So I've heard. And who do we got in here? We got someone who joined. We got.
Oi.
Oh shit! What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
We got the London only Necrotic Nick from Thralls. Thank you for joining.
Not much.
We just
Not a problem. Well, we just finished reviewing the new Melvins, which was pretty damn good. They're going to review the new Michael Schenker between Rin and Shred. So I was like, well, yeah, why not talk? Because I saw it was about LG. Rest in peace.
Yeah, obviously. We just got done freaking reviewing. Well, they got done reviewing because I have only listened to a little bit of Left Hand Path, but they were reviewing it. But I would
It's
definitely.
a seminal album. It was life changing.
Exactly.
Yeah, obviously.
I think I actually was recently just talking about that with another friend that I do like occasional podcasts with. Because I think I discovered it right around when I was like 20, 21. And I was looking for all the mellow death stuff. Like I was big into mellow death. Anything in flames, hypocrisy at the gates. Came across Entombed, like, well, they're Swedish, it's got to be the same. And lo and behold, I discovered the Stockholm sound. And it was like, oh my God, that fucking guitar tone.
Yes.
Jesus. The buzz saw.
Pedal.
And that's pretty much it. Like anytime after that, like if it has that buzzsaw tone, there's a damn good chance I love it. And I'll buy it.
Yeah. But obviously, what are your fondest memories of LG and Entombed?
I only got to see him once. It was granted, it was Entombed 80, which I still count as Entombed. It was just changed for legal reasons. I got to see them open up for Amon Amarth in, I believe, 2016. Ooh. And they were absolutely awesome. LG engaged the crowd really well. I think a fan like passed him a beer, and he took a big old fucking swig and handed it back. And was like, don't drink after him. He's all sweaty. But he was joking about like losing his hair. I think he says like, I got like 40 hairs on my head, and I think 3 of them are in my throat. So sorry. He was like kind of hacking a bit. And I mean, at that point, he might have been sick. I don't know. But he engaged the crowd well. They played a ton of kick-ass tunes. They even squeezed in Severe Burns, Wolverine Blues, and they closed the show with Left Hand Path. Crushed everything. I mean, I could have been, content after that if Amon Amarth had to cancel. I mean, I've been pissed, but dude, that was awesome. And that was my only experience seeing him. I was hoping I'd get a chance to see him again or see Firespawn, but that was it.
Yeah.
That's my fondest memory. But I mean, outside of that, I like his interviews are funny. He was just very down to earth. Yeah. And like kind of like deprecating. He kind of made fun of the overtopness of death metal and how ridiculous the whole scene was. And it's like, dude, it was all about fun. I mean, shit, they covered fucking Phantasm. That's brilliant. I fucking love that. It was one of the best moments in the entire album. And that's one of my favorite movies. Granted, it doesn't make a lick of fucking sense, but it's awesome. It's well shot.
Yeah. Like I said, we were listening, reviewing Left Hand Path and seeing some of these titles that are really interesting that you wouldn't normally see on a death metal album, like say, But Life Goes On. Bitter Loss, and then what was the other one I saw on here? The Truth Beyond. I was like, you don't normally see that in like a band like say Death or Cannibal Corpse.
Well, like Swedish death metal was different. Like I that was something I also learned too. Like because all my exposure to death metal before like going across the pond was American death metal. We latched on to thrash and just sort of made it heavier. Like we took like that heavy possessed sound, and it's like, well, we can go heavier than that. Let's get crazy, So we got Cannibal Corpse. Death started getting more intricate, but a lot of that was based on thrash. Sweden didn't have like a huge thrash scene, or at least in Stockholm they didn't. But what they did latch onto was the crust punk, the D beat shit, and that became sort of like the baseline for their death metal. Here, like there's tons of D beat stuff in Swedish death metal, and then they just kind of stumbled upon, well, not really stumbled upon that tone. They just dimed the fucking pedal.
Pretty much.
And that's our tone. So it was different.
Yeah, and I'm guessing some of the lyrical content might be even different than say some of the mentions you didn't even mention freaking Morbid Angel.
Morbid Angel loved the whole Sumerian demon Lovecraftian.
Pretty much.
Lovecraftian stuff, but you get something like Entombed, where I'm here like just hearing this stuff, it makes me want to listen to this stuff. Like,
dude, Entombed has such an interesting back catalog. I mean, the shift to death and roll. I love Wolverine Blues. That's kind of a divisive album for some. Like, no, it's not death metal anymore. It's like, no, it's death and roll. And this is once again proving the point that they're just kind of having fun with it. I mean, even the video had like flashes of Wolverine and shit like it. And it's like, dude, I mean, they know what they're talking about. They're just kind of dicking around and having fun with it. But my God, the riffs on that album are fucking disgusting.
Yeah, just from hearing about this band, it makes me because y'all. I just saw y'all do Darkthrone. It made me think that Entombed is kind of like them, where they do whatever the fuck they want to do.
That was pretty much it. Like the shift to death and roll. I mean, they had. Same difference was more of a rock. I don't want to talk about that album very much. But I mean, the death and roll stuff was fun. Uprising was really good. I love Morningstar. Morningstar was like a really good balance between like the death and roll and then some more like straight up like kind of thrashy death metal. Like you listen to songs like About to Die or Eye for an Eye. Those songs rip. They got big thrashy riffs, big nods to fucking Slayer. Which if you're giving Slayer nods, there's a good chance they'll probably play your shit too.
They were mentioning Slayer. Xavier especially was mentioning Slayer, especially what Hell Awaits Slayer.
Hell Awaits. They definitely really are influenced by Repulsion.
Dude, Repulsion is like when we did the retro review of Repulsion. I mean, going back and like looking at it, it's like God, this was like one of the most influential albums out there, and it came out late. It was mostly due to Carcass. Carcass wanted to see that thing get out, and they made sure it got out.
Yeah, Necrosis Records, yeah.
And like you listen to that album, and when it actually was written, like there are tropes there that didn't appear until after that album really started circulating. I mean, they might have been like, arguably the first extreme metal band, just in terms of the insane style. I love that album. Horrified is one of my favorite one-off albums. It's nuts. And the fact that they're from Flint. And if you're perpetually miserable, that's probably where you live, because man, that town is fucked. I go there occasionally for shows back when shows existed, but dude, it's not nice. Makes Detroit look really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But obviously the whole style that they were, the whole death and roll, we never really. Y'all never, obviously the death and roll, talk about that.
The death and roll is weird for me because like I liked a few of it. I like the second Convulse record a lot.
And that one's I love the first one, and it's probably
the first one's great too. I love the first one. Yeah, World Without God.
Yeah. Oh, bravos. That's a damn good album. The second one, I can't remember the title of it now. I had it just because I borrowed it from my brother-in-law, and he had it, and he introduced me to the band. And it wasn't until I looked back and heard their earlier stuff, I was like, man, why didn't you show me this? But it's a weird album. They didn't do like the death and roll style like Entombed as much, because I mean they're Finnish, so I mean they kind of have that Finnish death metal sound. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I mean there aren't a lot of death and roll bands. Like that was kind of a thing that I think Entombed really kind of catapulted, and then you hear just kind of occasional bands do it. Like I guess you could say 6 Feet Under is, but they're not good.
Yeah,
I'm still firmly anti 6 Feet Under.
There's
a couple other bands. Phasm. I don't know if anyone. I think they're French, but they do like a almost kind of Wolverine Blue style of death and roll. I don't know if they're around anymore. I can't remember the name of the album I had, but I mean, it had mid-tempo sort of rock and death metal riffs, even like some cowbell in there, which I mean, those all scream Entombed death and roll stuff. I mean, Uprising, I know for a fact had a cowbell on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you saying something? I couldn't hear you.
Ben's been having a little bit of difficulties and stuff like that. So
okay, I thought I heard you say something, but it came off really muffled. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah, you're coming.
Yeah, you're coming through all right. Ben's the only one that's been having, kind of the problems, but we could hear him sometimes. But then there are moments of like, it is what it is.
Dude, find one of these on Amazon. They're like $20, just a cheap USB condenser mic or a headset. Yeah.
Yeah.
This thing, I've been using this in videos and shit. You get good
Yes,
sound
earbuds.
quality out of it, I think.
My phone gets some good quality, especially in some of my videos, obviously. But I wanted to mention briefly about the Dark Throne ranking y'all had, and I wanted to come to the agreement that I was like on your side and stuff like that when it comes to those influential black metal albums. I was like, I get their freaking importance,
They are.
but they sound like they sound like ass. Because I've
They
listened
sound
to
like they were
Transylvania.
recorded in the world's biggest bucket. But
It was
I
just
mean, I
like,
get
God.
that they're massively influential. And I mean, honestly, like you listen to any black metal album pretty much afterwards that likes that just heavy tremolo, melody and shit. There's a lot of Dark Throne in it. So while I may not like them as much as others, they are massively influential. And that was honestly my first exposure to him, just because, like I said, if you saw the video, Phil Anselmo was wearing a Dark Throne t-shirt the last time I saw Pantera. And I noticed that when he came on stage and sang, oh God, was it Maze of Torment with Morbid Angel?
Oh yeah, Maze of Torment with
But they were doing it with
Steve
Tucker. This was the Gateways to Annihilation tour, which that was my first time seeing Morbid Angel, and I was like, holy shit, Pete Sandoval's disgustingly fast. How the hell? And then seeing fucking Trey do Trey stuff. Trey's nuts. I don't know. I think he just has seizures on the fretboard and is like, fuck it, record it. That was weird, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just that Dark Throne video. I was just watching and seeing Shred have them so high. I'm like, how on earth is he able to listen to that without freaking losing his damn mind?
Well, this one was interesting because I mean, all right, John's not like the biggest black metal fan. I'm a bigger black metal fan. So is Joe, but we like different things in black metal. Like I love like thrashy black metal, like black and thrash and black and death metal.
Oh yeah,
Death Hammer.
Oh yeah.
I say to my
But it was weird that the more heavy metal stuff kind of spoke to me more. But at the same time, my number one, and I was still the Blaze in the Northern Sky, is damn near perfect.
Yeah, I will say black metal with anything else, I'm fine with. Symphonic black metal, atmospheric black metal, black and death, all that stuff. I'll be fine with. But when it's raw black metal, get that the fuck away from me.
See, and I think it's just that particular one because it was so damn raw. Like they stripped out everything. Because I mean, I have other albums that are described as raw black metal that actually sound good. You can still have it being well mixed and well produced and still sound raw. And that was the sort of thing, like, but that was kind of like against the mentality. Like, no, this was like a rebranding of punk. Fuck it, DIY. We're gonna do this in our bedroom on a 4-track. And make it sound like butt. But that's
that's the whole thing with that black metal style. And I was just thinking, God, it's just that all it needs is a better production and mix. And I would probably get on board with that style. But it's just like, ugh.
It would be like just some minor tweaks, really.
Yeah, even listening to freaking Transylvanian Hunger, just a little bit of it, I'm like, I cannot listen to any more of this. This sounds like ass. Someone please produce and mix it better.
I mean, even the mix, like I can tolerate like a bad mix if the music's good. Like, I mean, Suffocation's Bringing the Spawn, horrible mix. It's muddier than hell. I love the songs though, but the Transylvanian Hunger, my issue there is, my God, these songs just stay stagnant. They hang on that like static tremolo riff, the same blast beat, and going from like everything that was glorious about A Blaze in the Northern Sky, which song structure, dynamics, beautiful, just epic melodies, but also just bone crunchingly heavy.
Yeah.
They just sort of stripped that all out in favor of being more raw and like, well, this is more true and cult with a K and a V.
I was looking at that and it made me think to myself, if I were to look at comparing it to everything else, like maybe the Star Wars sequel, Force Awakens good, everything else is shit.
Exactly.
I compared it to The Matrix. And I was like, yeah, first one's good, and then the other two movies
just action oriented and stuff like that,
and really bad dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like the later stuff, like Panzerfaust, I absolutely love. Even though Nocturno was blackout drunk when you record the vocals. It's hilarious. You can hear it too. Like you can hear him like where he's closer to the mic and further away. Like, yeah, get it?
Exactly.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they slowed it down. They put Frost groove to it, and I mean, or Hellhammer even almost.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love Celtic Frost. I love their stuff, except for Cold Lake. Although I probably would be on John's side and maybe be like, but then again, I'm biased because I'm a freaking retard. Pretty much.
We still rag on John for ranking Cold Lake above 2 Megatherian, and I probably am not going to quit doing that one. I'm sorry. Dude, like when he told me that, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding? Were you what? Did you listen to it?"
I would never listen to the fucking album if I wanted to.
I mean, dude, honestly, if you own a copy, since they don't do reprints of it, and I doubt Tom Gabriel will ever do it,
He will never do a review of that.
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. Leave it alone. Let it die. Let people that have their copies sell them to people that actually want that shit. And
yeah.
But I mean, he also ranked Morbid Angel at number 6 overall, and we still give him shit about that, which we should because
Altars, you mean?
Altars, yeah. Altars, he ranked like, number 6.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I'm questioning if John is just another version of me where I'm just like what? I'm like, come on, dude.
I mean, hey, dude, that your obituary poster, I got that one too. That's on my wall. Hold on here.
Yeah, right there.
I have the one that's signed.
Yep, those mine.
Nice.
Gary Butler's up in the top right corner.
Yes, he is.
Yep. Yeah, I got that on their
and then there's like a few others. There's Deceased, Possessed, and I think Ripping Corpse and Suffocation.
When we saw Cannibal Corpse, they had Hate Eternal open up, and they were actually selling off like original tapes for Ripping Corpse.
I'm actually playing it right now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I didn't get it because I already have it on CD, which is hard enough to find. But they actually explained it. The guy selling the merch actually explained why they were selling the tapes, because I guess the guy that owns the rights to reprinting it won't budge. He won't sell.
Yeah,
he won't get
yeah.
So it's like, well, whatever. We found a batch of tapes. We're just gonna fucking sell them.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy that freaking Eric Rutan went from Ripping Corpse all the way to Cannibal. I mean, I knew he'd been working with Cannibal before, but now knowing he's a guitarist in there, freaking awesome.
I mean, yeah, honestly, like the track they put out, it sounds like that's one of his leads on it. And I mean, it already is different than what Pat was bringing to the table. Pat was blazing fast, really technical, but I think there's a little bit more nuance in Rutan's playing. Oh, we lost both of them.
I don't know. Xavier, still there? Yeah.
Yeah, wait a minute. I gotta do something really quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened, Ben?
But yeah, I'm just.
You guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, no, I hear you now.
We can hear you, Ben.
I shut off my Bluetooth. Maybe that's what was doing it.
Yeah, I've always known your Bluetooth has been having problems.
Oh, I'm back now. I'm back.
Are you able to get video and audio at the same time, or is it just the audio?
Ben?
Yep, there he is.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. But yeah, just that.
Back. I think it sounds much crunchier. It's got a heavier tune to it, I think.
Wait, which one?
The new Cannibal Corpse track.
Yeah, I dig it. Like, honestly, like it sounds like that might be one of the ones he contributed writing. He wrote 3 songs on the new one, from what I've seen. And I mean, I imagine he's doing a bunch of leads, because I mean, you know, Barrett's a decent lead guy, but he's not like the main lead guy. That was mostly.
Yeah, I always figured he was more of the rhythm. He's basically the rhythm of the band. I don't know who would have been the rhythm back in the day with Cannibal Corpse. Probably Jack. Or
Jack. Jack was also the lead guy because Bob Rousset was
more the
nuts.
rhythm.
He was great in terms of the live performances because he was nuts. But in terms of like, he was kind of a sloppy player. That's why they end up retracking a lot of his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but basically, freaking Jack is more of the stable, back in the day, the more stable rhythm guy than, say, Pat or Barrett and Owen are probably in that same category when it came to Cannibal Corpse.
Jack Owen's still a good player. He's just I really wish he wasn't in 6 Feet Under.
Exactly.
Bring him back in Deicide. Dude, he was great. Like Stench of Redemption, he was ripping shit. I mean, they also had Ralph Santola doing lead work on there too. That was a good back and forth. That was honestly the best tandem he had since the fucking Hoffmans.
Yeah, I'm looking at that 6 Feet Under lineup, and you have Owen on there, barring Chris Barnes. You have freaking what is this crap? Jeff Huggle, fantastic bassist. Marco Miniman, fantastic drummer.
No, not that Marco. Lord Marco. He also played in Brain Drill, I believe. He's a tech death dude. He's a wizard. But yeah, Marco Miniman is incredible. I love that drummer.
But yeah, you get those guys, and you are making something like Nightmares of the Decomposed. I'm like,
oh yeah, even the other guy, I can't remember his damn name. He also played in Cannabis Corpse, and he's also really good. But I mean, yeah, as long as the check clears,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's like I get it for some of those. I'm like, I think privately we're talking about freaking Andrew Watt. He's a good guitarist, but he's doing the pop shit because got to pay the bills.
Yeah. Exactly.
God, what's his name? What was it? The dude that was the lead guitarist in Bloodbath. He was on Fathomless Mastery and Unblessing the Purity. He's actually the lead guitarist, or one of the lead guitarists for Ghost. I found that out.
Wow!
But hey, it was like, I was in Bloodbath. Now I'm in Ghost. But hey, it's a pretty good gig. I get to play arenas, and I get paid pretty well. And not many people know it's me.
Yeah, that's pretty. Wow, that's now knowing that. Like, wow, that's.
Yeah.
I only knew a few of the members that were ex-members of Ghost and stuff because I know one of the members in Ghost now has a band called Magna Carta Cartel.
Yeah,
and it kind of sounds like Ghost.
That's shit. Why can't I think of his fucking name?
It ain't Tobias. Tobias was a part of it, but it's one of the guitarists.
Oh, okay. I know Tobias was in Magna Carta, whatever it is.
Cartel. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It made me think this just sounds like Ghost.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds like it's good. Yeah, it's like. It's all good and stuff.
Yeah, we found that out when we did the Bloodbath ranking. Yeah, God, what seems like forever ago. But it was like, holy shit. I mean, all right, if that's the gig you're leaving for, I mean, yeah. And plus, I mean, Ackerfeld left, and I mean, he doesn't seem to like metal much anymore, which is sad.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he still plays it live. The last 2 times I've seen Opeth, they've closed the show with Deliverance, and that's still one of my favorite Opeth songs, and they crush it.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that, Opeth isn't what they once were.
I don't necessarily mind what they are now. Like, I think the last one, Caught of Venom, was actually pretty good. It's just not metal. Like, all the metal is gone. It's just more just like 70s prog, which is good. I like that. I grew up listening to Yes and Rush. My mom listened to a fuck ton of Genesis and You're Right, Heap. So there's still that echoes with me. But I mean, I miss the metal stuff. Jesus Christ, they're fucking going nuts up there.
God damn, yeah.
Dude, I think they broke into some beers and now they're listening to Michael Schenker.
Oh damn!
That's what they're reviewing.
Oh god, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're reviewing the new one.
Ben's got it. Ben's got it.
Yeah, Ring got a hold of me. Actually, the last time he was over here, I was like, "Hey, would you like to review the new Melvins?" And at that point, I had just listened to it, and I was like, "Yeah," because it actually sounds like the Melvins again. The last few have been just weird rock, like not Melvins weird, but just a regular weird that I didn't like.
I'm going to be back in a sec.
All right, Xavier.
Technician was just kind of odd, and bases loaded. Yeah, all right. It's weird to do a song with all basses and different bassists. It's like, yeah, why not? but it got old. And this one, right here, Working with God. I don't know what God they're talking about, but this guy likes weird shit. But it's back to like, you know, fucking Stoner Witch and Houdini and shit like that. I was like, fuck yes. That shit is weird and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was mentioning some of those bands you mentioned. I kind of did mention about, I think going back to I think there was one video. What was it? The album, the bands we're looking forward to for albums in 2021, mentioning Orden Ogan and Blind Guardian. I wanted to ask if have y'all found someone who is into that stuff yet?
We're working on it. There's actually a couple of people, but it's just pretty much like a matter of getting them in front of camera. Like that seems to be the main issue. Like, I don't doubt their passion for it. It's just, you know, the whole getting in front of a camera and talking about it, which, like, honestly, I don't even go back and watch like the old videos of us because we were fucking petrified. It's unnerving. As soon as that little red light comes on the GoPro, it's like, all right, you little judgy bitch, let's go. We got this. I'm already sweating. Why am I sweating? But you know, it's becoming like second nature because you just kind of forget it's on and you just, you know, talk. And I mean, honestly, the solo reviews are still tough. Like, there's a lot of editing that goes on because I want to make sure I get out everything clearly. I want to make sure that my opinions, you know, not like confusing at all. And I'll second guess shit. And it's like, no, fuck that. I'm gonna do that again.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, I had to learn a lot of this shit on the fly, but you know, it was pretty much just like, no, I want to do this. This is fun. I enjoy it. But
yeah,
it's nerve wracking. And I mean, you know, and when you run into fucking like really shitty comments, which holy shit, that 6 Feet Under review gets so fucking many. There are so like we've been calling everything on that, but we also get a lot of people that say, dude, you're spot on, that album's fucking trash. But yeah, I mean, when you irritate a fan base, you'll hear about it. And yeah. Hot takes. Oh man, like luckily we haven't run into anything that bad in a while, even though I believe I heard that they want to do another Graveyard Classics and they want to do Rush. And man, fuck you, Barnes. That ain't fucking cool, man.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Fuck Barnes.
Dude.
Fuck Barnes.
Yeah, about that. I'm the only. I think I only own one album of theirs. I don't even have it on in a CD case, but I think Bringer of Blood, one of the only good ones. Probably, I think I'm also might have owned their 2012 album. What was that? Undead. But those were probably the only two. I've stopped caring about kind of 6 Feet Under since.
I own Haunted, and that's the only one I'll probably own. Even though, I mean, Rin likes him more than probably any of us. He likes Warpath at least, and some of the whatever the fucking ridiculous song you did with Ice-T, which was hilarious.
I love that horse shit.
Like, yeah, fuck you! Like, it was like, dude, it's so campy. I love it though, and I believe every word that Ice-T says. Like, he is serious about all that shit. He will break into your house and shoot you in the face, and fuck your wife, and yeah. Barnes will just sit there and watch and probably pathetically masturbate.
Like that Anal Cunt song. Remember? Chris Barnes is a pussy.
But even Haunted, which, you know, like there are a lot of death metal fans that like, oh no, that's a really good album. It's like it's Alan West's leftover riffs that were rejected by Obituary. That's pretty much all I hear. You know, it sounds like an even more generic version of like that would have been on like World Demise or Incomplete. No.
Damn.
They didn't make the cut here. Why are they making the cut here?
Yeah. Jesus.
Any beginner guitar player on an album. So
and like, yeah, Alan West didn't really bring a lot there. And I mean, it sucks. He's had great players in the band. Like Terry Butler's an awesome bassist.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he surrounds himself with talent, and then he's like, "Here's the songs. This one's about a Gemini Killer something. Oh no, write it.
Oh god, yeah, he's gotten so many good players. By Jeff Huggle, freaking Jacko, and Rob Arnold. Yeah, freaking.
He's from Cleveland. He's from my home state. He played in Chimera. He was great there. Like, he had some fucking shreddy ass leads. He even had Matt DeFries, who was the other guitarist. I think he played bass on that album. And I hear that album was good, but I'm not gonna listen to it because Barnes' vocals fucking ruin everything. Like,
oh my god, yeah, just hearing some of the
Horse albums are sick. I adore them. The Bleeding especially, but everything after is just who gives a shit?
Freaking even if I'm only Bringer of Blood, just some of the vocals. Like, I think the first track on that, I was just like. Laughing.
There's like Torture Killer. Torture Killer, I think, had one album with Barnes on vocals when they literally could have got anyone else. and it's good old school death metal, but it's Barnes on vocals, and it's not like good Barnes. And his cadences.
I feel like they should have got like the vocalist from fucking Sinister. What's his name? Mike?
Oh, with
from Cross the Sticks. From Cross the Sticks, yeah.
Klooster something.
Mike something. I forgot what it was. I think it is, yeah.
That dude's good. I mean, honestly, when I heard him, he instantly reminded me of fucking Frank Mullen, which, Frank, that's the man. That's the guy that knows how to do the deep vocals well. Granted, he's retired. We actually saw him on his retirement tour, the Farewell to Frank tour with Cattle Decap and Christian. That was awesome. Got to meet him, shake his hand, say, hey, thanks for everything.
Here's a crazy thing. I fucking know his son because he goes to the same school as I do.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, he goes to the same college I go to.
Dude, when he was on stage, he was talking about going into acting and shit. I mean, I don't know. He does well on that. Like, that'd be awesome.
I thought somewhat fun idea of him being like a stalker dad.
I mean, I don't know, man. He is intimidating. Even though he's like super nice at that shit on stage. They came here and played in Toledo, which he's not really known for, like touring necessarily. Like, after a while, he didn't do any touring because he had a regular job. But he actually came to this, little club here in Toledo, and they played a show that Joe's band, or Joe and Rin, they opened for him, and they just absolutely whooped ass. They had fucking, oh god damn it, why can't I think of his name? Former drummer of Dying Fetus, Kevin Talley.
Yeah,
Kevin Talley was on drums that night, and dude, they just fucking lit the place up. It was amazing. They were still touring on, oh god damn it, Pinnacle of Bedlam, which, in terms of their more modern albums, I fucking love that album.
Same.
But that was really cool actually having him here. And I mean, at that point, he was still talking about retiring. And then, we saw the Farewell to Frank thing after the last album dropped, and was like, yeah, I think he's serious this time. And I've seen him with two other different frontmen. And I mean, as long as they got Terrence is still like the heart and soul of that band.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he's still the main riff writer. He's still fucking awesome. He can still smoke most people under the table, I believe. So as long as he's still got the energy to keep writing killer stuff, hopefully going back and getting some like more grittier production, because the last couple have been, well, mainly the last one is like, dude, that's too polished. That's too polished for Suffocation. That's 90s death metal. It's supposed to have grit to it. You want that Scott Burns sort of mix where it's just everything's kind of crunchy and ugly. Not like super compressed guitars and shit like that. And like, no, I need my death metal ugly. That's what I love.
There's another good band I've been listening to a shit ton of.
Yeah,
Haunted from Pennsylvania. This shit is good.
See if they got. Oh yeah, man. I hate the tapes come back because I don't want to get a tape player again. But I mean,
they were still on CD.
They were still on CD.
Yeah,
right. Haunted. That's just it.
Haunted from Pennsylvania. They have like they have a demo, and then they have like an album and one unreleased.
I'd check it out. I mean, old school death metal is kind of one of my main wheelhouses. I've been hitting up distros here lately and finding all sorts of crazy shit. I just got a batch from Rotted Life Records. It's like a mail order and a record label and a distro and a bunch of like underground Death Doom demos and like, well, here goes my impulse control because I'm going to buy a bunch of this shit, and I did. And Night Shift merch, which they get stuff from Everlasting Spew, which is great because that label is based out of Italy, and I'm not paying all the shipping rates. You know, they had an EP on there that I really wanted that I reviewed. Was it that Black Hole Deity or something like that? And yeah, with shipping, it would have been like $30. I was like, no, I can't. Not for an EP. It's like 4 tracks. It's barely even 20 minutes. Well, you guys all ready? Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So I'm trying to keep tabs and seeing if they're ready because, I mean, after that, I got to jump off of here.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We might be getting ready soon. So, wait,
Yeah.
I think I figured one more I mentioned. Have y'all thinking about reviewing that Transatlantic album? I know it's probably a mouthful to listen to because it's on.
When does that one come out? Is that next month?
It just came out. The Transatlantic one just came out recently.
Oh, it's already out. Shit, then we missed it. I mean, honestly, if I can find it, I'll pick it up and I can cover it in a collection update because we kind of missed the window for it. The only reason we're doing the Melvins one is because I didn't know they actually returned to that sound. So I wanted to throw in that one just because it's occasionally I like doing stuff that's a little bit on the cusp. Like when we covered Foo Fighters, I knew it was like, oh, this Foo Fighters is bullshit. It's like Dave Grohl is a friend to metal. He loves it still. He still talks about how much he loved all that 80s metal. So I love Foo Fighters because they honestly know how to just write good rock. And there's really not a lot of that. Like just flat out rock and roll. Foo Fighters is one of the bands that still does it right. But yeah, every now and then, like bands are kind of like on the cusp.
Yeah, I figured you wouldn't be because I know figuring Transatlantic happens to have, I think, 3 versions of their albums. There's like a 60-minute, there is like a double album version, and then there's a somewhat close to 100-minute version. So I figured that would be one y'all would skip past.
Jesus, I didn't know all that shit. Jesus. That's a really wrong thing to do. I think it's like, well, we got one. Then we have this one track. It's 2 days
I've been
long.
listening to that. It's like been.
I mean, I jammed the tracks on YouTube. It's good. I mean, it sounds really good. I mean, all those guys are great fucking players. I mean, Portnoy's a fucking beast. You know, John Petrucci. If I bring up his name loud enough, Joe will fucking squee with joy just because I'm talking about him. I mean, actually, the dude we were talking to today that has the podcast that I occasionally guest on, he brought up the fact that he, hung out and smoked weed with Marty Friedman and sold fucking Dave Mustaine weed and cocaine. It was like, dude, you fucking lived, man. It was like, yeah. He said, yeah, we were smoking outside of Megadeth's bus, and Dave walked by. He was like, man, something smells good over there. I was like, man, it can smell good right over here for a certain amount of money. Yeah, got it. It's like, bring that dude over here. So this is back in like old Dave territory, the real me, Dave.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, he's just like
down, Dave. Yeah,
dude. I mean, he's our Lord and Savior. That's dude. That's one of my favorite riff dudes. Dave Mustaine's still, I think, the best guitarist in Metallica.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, my favorite Metallica album.
I know.
Let's make it this way. If Dave kicks out another member, I have to drink 1 bottle of beer. Let's see how hammered I can get.
Dude, actually, you want to play? All right, you want to play a fucked up drinking game, and you'll more than likely get alcohol poisoning by 3 songs. No, probably 2. It's one we play for White Zombie and Rob Zombie. You got to drink every time he says "yeah." Yeah.
Oh God, that's just so
I mean, all right, think about it. All right.
funny.
Like Spider Baby, yeah. Like he says that multiple times. There's one song where like, all right, that's like 4 beers probably. Yeah, I no
I
shit.
think because of the White Zombie stuff. Only song I know that has the word "yeah" that I've heard from freaking White Zombie is "more human
All of
than human." Like just before they go into the word, the title name, the name of the title, it's like you go and say, "Yeah."
Yep.
Oh, I can
Yeah,
save myself drinking too much.
it's his fucking favorite word, and we're gonna review the new Rob Zombie this weekend too. I think Ren has the weekend off, and we're just gonna hammer through some fucking fun reviews and do The Crown, Rob Zombie, Enforced, and I Hate God.
Oh, do you hear about the new Solstice record? It's supposed to be coming out.
I'm kind of a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, they're putting out a new record.
Is Rob Barrett still playing in that, or is he just still done in there?
He's done there. He has
Okay.
the fucking drummer back again.
Well, I mean, I'd be down for it. The last thing I heard from Solstice was I think it was a split they did with the band Cyst. It was Russian.
That one's good.
That fucking album rules.
That one and this one I always listen to.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes, that album is fucking killer. Dude, that is honestly, that's one of those bands I think of when just straight up death thrash. It's the perfect fucking blend.
That and
It's
Protector. Protector.
I think your audio is cutting out again, Ben.
Yeah, I can barely. God, might be my signal.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think he's just. Yeah, I've been having.
Every now and then I hear a little bit. Yeah, I know Solstice was actually working on anything new. I would be 100% down for fucking jamming that. I've been a fan of those guys actually since I found out that was a band that Rob Barrett was in. You know, which is pretty much. I think when I discovered like Encyclopedia Metalum and shit like that, when I started looking up bands, like, all right, well, who else is this guy playing? And litany of fucking bands discovered.
Malevolent Creation, fucking Solstice. I think he did guest vocal. I think a guest solo on fucking Considered Dead. I think
I can't remember. Was he on any of the Hate Plow albums?
I don't think so.
Trying to think. I don't know if he was, but yeah, Rob Barrett's a mainstay. I mean, shit, Corpse Grinder's been in a fucking ton of bands too.
Yeah.
I think Jack Owen's work in Deicide is still again one of my favorite fucking things that he's done.
I like Corpse Grinder's work in Monstrosity more.
I don't know. I like his stuff in Cannibal too. I'm more used to Cannibal, but Monstrosity is the pinnacle of an underrated band, especially in the Florida metal scene. They were incredible. They don't have a bad album. All their albums are good.
Imperial Doom, fucking Dark Purity.
That Millennium, even though that album cover's stupid.
I agree.
Dude, I mean, I was like, well, we got this computer graphics designer. Well, what are we going to do with the cover? I don't know. I made an egg. I'm going to put the egg here. And then I got this background. It looks like a Mario level. We're going to put the egg right there. How about that?
It looks like a shitty PC game.
Yep. And they're like, well, that's all we got. We got to put it out with this. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and Brutality. Brutality was heavily underrated too.
Screams of Anguish is great.
Dude, I love that album. That man, dude, they just broke up again.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And I saw that, I was like, Jesus Christ. And like, they've broken up and reformed so many goddamn times. So there's like a chance they get back together. They were actually at MDF 2019 and they fucking destroyed. They were killer. They're honestly like some of the best lead work I heard, I think, all throughout that day. And there was a shit ton of bands playing that day. I mean, I think over the course of that 4 days, I saw 27 bands. It was amazing. I can't wait to go back next year.
I went to the only festival I went to is NYDM.
I didn't see. I've seen some of the lineups, and I know, is it Mortician almost always on there?
It was Mortician, Morpheus Descends, Possessed, and I think Blood Feast was that year too.
Blood Feast is next year at MDF, and we saw Mortician at MDF in 2019, and I mean, you could kind of see him. There was a giant. The smoke machine was on point. Like they had that thing working overtime.
Exactly.
But you could see the shadow of Will Raymer.
Yeah.
Just like, well, you've been doing push-ups again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, but I mean, it was awesome, and props to their live drummer for keeping up with that ridiculous program shit they do in the studio. But I mean, it was killer. It was the first time I had ever seen him. I got Darkest Days of Horror. I got the T-shirt for it. I was like, dude, that was fucking sick. But yeah, that whole fest. God, man, I became a huge fan of Ocho Tume, Tomb Mold. First time I ever seen Tomb Mold, and I didn't even realize their drummer was their fucking singer, and him doing all those crazy turnovers and blasts at the same time as growling. Or like, what?
Exactly.
He didn't miss a beat. I mean, it was insane. It was like, I'm waiting for him to fuck up because that's a lot to focus on. I mean, hell, his head is like turned away half the time when he's doing that crazy shit. Oh, God, who else? We saw Deicide there, which Glenn was his usual warm, cuddly self.
I have a photo with him, and he fucking knocked the camera out of my hand.
That sounds about right.
It sounds blur. It looks blurry as fuck.
Yeah, he was tossing out bass picks and shit at the show, and there was a barrier at the Rams Head, the bigger venue, and he tossed one out, and the kid fumbled it, and it dropped in front of him, in front of the barrier, which he could not reach over and get. And he just looked down and was like, "That's why your mom didn't put you in sports." I was like, God damn, way to warm him over, Glenn. All right, we're going to play some more death metal. But, I mean, they played so much from the first 3 albums. I was like, dude, all right, I'm cool. Make fun of that kid. I don't give a shit. Maybe the security guard will pick up that pick for him. I doubt it.
Yeah.
And I just love shows.
Alrighty. Yeah,
Let's go see
I've been
Festival
wanting to go to more shows because it has been quite a while since I've been to any shows in quite a while. There have been moments where I've been wanting to go to shows for quite some time, but it's like just never the moment.
We hit up one mid-February before the world fucking fell apart. We saw Veil of Panath, Gorod, and Wolf King. And that was a pretty solid show. I was mostly there to finally see Gorod because I'm not even a big tech death fan, but those guys are exceptionally good and they don't forget to write riffs. It's not just, like technical noodlery. It's like, wow, these are catchy riffs. There's some groove here. These are actually songs, not just show offs. And Wolf King is awesome, blackened hardcore. Those guys fucking rip. And I've met those dudes a couple of times at multiple different shows, and they always whoop ass live. Super friendly guys. I think we bullshitted about like stupid YouTube videos and like people falling down and laughing about that shit. I was like, hey man, this is a cool little personal moment. They're having a good time. Yeah. And then I was getting ready to get tickets to go see Midnight. God, there were some other ones. Ripikolu was actually coming to the States. I was like, shit, I got to see him because I have a chance to actually buy some of their albums, which are hard to fucking find too. That, and they're fucking amazing. Like that is unbelievable Finnish death doom. I love those guys. They put on a killer performance at fucking MDF. That was so fucking heavy.
Last show I saw was Pyrexia, and they played the fucking full version of Sermon of Mockery.
I have that album.
Yeah, so fucking good.
I mean, that was like the early Brutal Death shit. I don't mind the early Brutal Death stuff. Like, I own all of Broken Hope's albums. Like, I think that stuff was really good. It's just when it turned into slam, that's where it got irritating.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, a steady, supply of do, and then someone squealing like a pig over that.
Exactly.
It was like, it just gets dull real quick. Yeah, when we saw Suffocation, they had Visceral Disgorge open up, and granted, their banter was funny because they would say, like, this next song's about, I don't know, putting babies in a fucking wood chipper or something. I was like, cool, all right, but what's it called? It's called. I'm like, all right, we don't know what this is called then.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. I'm not getting your shit. was just pretty much biding my time and waiting for Christian on stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think they're drinking more beer up there.
Yeah, I can hear.
I could hear it too.
Oh yeah, no, they're going ham up there.
Yeah.
Like Joe's our big classic heavy metal guy. He loves that shit. I mean, I love that shit too, but I'm picky about vocals. There has to be a certain level of gruffness even to singing, and when they're too clean and pretty, I was like, that's just no, it's not metal enough. Come on, get a little leather lunged. Come on, man.
I was kind of surprised what he said about when I had Transatlantic with him saying, "Yes, good pick." I was like, "Wow!" I'm kind of.
I mean, he plays a lot of like more virtuoso stuff. He loves that sort of stuff. So I mean, that sort of stuff he latches onto right away. I mean, anything like Dream Theater oriented. I mean, Michael Schenker, that's one of his favorite guitarists. Marty Friedman, even outside of Megadeth. He's big on all that stuff, and he's good. He should be. He's easily one of the most talented musicians I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Schenker's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but that kind of was like, I knew freaking Ben likes them, the Michael Schenker stuff. That kind of caught me a little bit off guard. I wasn't expecting freaking Shred to say that about what the new song recognized the name Transatlantic. I'm like, wow, he likes the song. That surprises me a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But then again, I know he loves freaking Opeth, and the video y'all did for Opeth freaking had Sorceress on vinyl. Freaking, that kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
My brother-in-law and I got him that. We had a meet and greet with Opeth, and I got a bullshit with Michael Ockerfeld about old Scorpions albums. He's a big fan of Taken by Force, which is an amazing album. And he literally purchased it there and got it signed and was like, here, give that to Joe. Because he was laid up with a really bad leg injury. He had like fucking a halo around his leg to fucking fix it and shit. Like, he's a damn cyborg. I'm reasonably sure of it. But yeah, we gave him that, and he was just like, dude, really? He was like, yeah, dude, this is yours. You couldn't make it. You planned on going. I know you did, because it's Opeth. So yeah, and that show was amazing. They played a lot of old shit. Got Demon of the Fall live. Oh, and we had the Sword open up too, which that was sweet too. I love the Sword.
Nice. Yeah, I've just been, when it came to that Opeth stuff, I've just been jamming some of those other stuff from them, Demon of the Fall, and I was like, whew, god damn. Freaking Demon of the Fall, wow.
Yep.
Better than any of the songs I've been better. I wouldn't say better than any of the other Opeth songs. I've been rehearsing vocal wise.
Grand Conjuration,
like that,
that one's up there for me. Hexomega. God, I mean,
freaking.
Of course,
I freaking love all the songs on Blackwater that have growls. Freaking Leper, Bleak, Drapery, freaking the title track. Even Ghost of Perdition, the first ever song I ever listened from Opeth. Freaking seeing that in a freaking Saints Row game of all things, like what? I had been avoiding them for quite a while, but then hearing them in the Saints Row game, I'm like, what?
Wait a minute, I gotta dip out of here because they're about to do a review. But it was good talking to you, man. And of course, long live. You guys take it easy, guys.
Yeah, you take it easy too, Nick.
Later, Ben.
Yeah.
All right, so I figure we could call this a stream. We've been going about almost 2 hours, so thank you all for all those that came by and saw it. Obviously, for all those, this will end up being on our Utreon channel, which y'all can go and check it out. Link will be in the description of this video for that channel. You'll be seeing that hopefully shortly. But y'all have any things to say before we leave? Ben? All right. On that, we
Stay
will
fucking metal.
see y'all later. And as always, keep things metal.